Hello, my mindful meal preppers. It's the same day, so I'm wearing the same clothes as yesterday. My name is Em. This is Life's Table, and I am very excited to make a delicious pasta dish with you all tonight. Some pork pasta with like a creamy tomato sauce to help us get rid of the heavy whipping cream that we used last week. While we dive further into stress management techniques for when we are perhaps even more stressed out than our standard level of stress. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Tie back in here if you have to. Put on an apron if you've got one. And let's get cooking good looking. There's still so much to be learned today at Life's Table. Okay, apron is on. Yay! We are going to start by bringing out 2 saucepans. This one and this one. And we are going to fill the larger one with 2 quarts, which is 8 cups of water. And while we do that, let me go ahead and add this onto the stove. We'll start heating this up. We're going to go with like a medium to medium low. And I'll bring out a cutting board and a knife. All right, move this to our big burner. Turn on the heat to high for here, and we're going to salt this generously. There we go. Perfect. Generous salting. While we do that, I'm going to slice up my onion. I want to use 2/3 of this onion today. If you want to do 50-50, that's fine. I'm going to use the other parts of this onion for the last meal that I'm going to make this week. Veggie scrap bag. Yay. And I'll put this small one away. We are going to chop this into small pieces. I've got a little slicer. So I'm going to break up this here. Nice little chunks. For those of you that don't have one, you're looking for about like this size. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll say cut the onion into 6 and then slice around. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and do the garlic as well because we're here. We're doing 3 cloves because I love garlic. If you want more, do more. If you want less, do less. That's your prerogative. I'm going to test for Leidenfrost in my pot. Not quite there yet, but it's very close, which gives me time then to chop up the pork into little bite-sized slices or pieces. So while we slice up this pork, let's go ahead and get into stress management for when it's more than your standard manageable, quick, temporary, short-term kind of stress. Because sometimes life just lays it on thick, you know? For the pork, I am going to keep the fat on it because I want the fat to release and add flavor to the dish itself. If you have a lot of pork fat and you're worried that it's going to like overwhelm the dish with that flavor, you're welcome to trim it down. And I am going to cut it into cubes, I think. So something around like this size. It will cook down and get smaller. So it's okay if your pieces are not 100% uniform and perfect. But yeah, for those higher stress situations, we're not unbearable yet. We're not full on panicking, but if we wait too much longer, it'll get there. Let me test as well, just to make sure. Awesome. We are too light in frost, which is good. We'll wash our hands. We're gonna give a little bit of olive oil to this. 2 tablespoons. We are going to just drop this in and it's going to sizzle. Smooth. We'll go with like this one. That's fine. Wow, that is such a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I love the smell of onion and garlic together. And I will add a little bit of salt and pepper to this. Salt here. Ooh. I'll do some crushed red pepper as well because I want a little heat to this. A little bit of pepper, and then I promise we will actually get into what I have told you twice now that we are going to get into while we finish chopping up the rest of this pork, and then we will add the pork to this delicious garlic onion combo that we've got going here. So the first technique for when things are getting rough is a technique that we call problem solving. And it forces you to break down what is happening into sort of like bite-sized pieces, if you will, a little bit like the pork that I'm chopping up right now. Identify and analyze what is stressing you out, what is triggering these feelings in you, these emotions to boil up, the behaviors that you're wanting to act out and act upon because you are hoping that they will resolve these issues, and perhaps even you know that they're not going to, depending on what they are. Perhaps you think maybe they will. What I want you to do, though, is whatever this problem is, sit down and brainstorm possible solutions to resolving it. And by possible solutions, I don't care how far-fetched, how silly, how out of the realm of possibility they are. Get them on paper. List it out. Because with the far-fetched, creative, this is ridiculous, this is impossible sort of ideas, will also come ideas that at first glance feel ridiculous and feel impossible, but perhaps are in fact the correct and right solution. Evaluate the feasibility of each of these possible solutions, each of these ideas that you are creating, and then analyze the cost in terms of the time, energy, maybe literal cost, perhaps relationships that might get burnt or harmed in the process of you executing in this way. And based off of what you think is best, the most energy efficient, low cost, low conflict, low bridge burning relationship kind of one, go with whichever one that one happens to be. Play it off of somebody. Bounce the idea off of another individual to see if they agree that that is the good way to go. Perhaps even bounce the idea off of the stressor themselves, right? If it's a person that's stressing you out, say, hey, listen, the nature of this relationship right now is not working for me at all. It looks like actually my water is boiling. Good gracious. You get on a roll and you don't even notice that things are happening all around you. I'm going to use the other half of this linguine that I bought last month. This gets a little stir. We'll move this around so that we can get it in and down. I'm going to lower the heat on this just a little bit because I don't want this to boil so quickly that I can't keep up with it. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes and I'll give it a taste around then. So we go with what will cost us the least in terms of harm to relationships, time involved and energy required and resources and so on and so forth. We execute and then afterwards we evaluate. All right, what went well, what didn't go well? Is this a problem solving technique to utilize when a problem similar to this arises in the future? If yes, wonderful. You've got tools in your toolbox now. If no, well, perhaps why didn't it work? What needs to change in order for it to work? So that's problem solving. Cool. Pork is ready to go in. Into the sink we go. Okay. Dry hands. Give it a stir. All right. I'm going to leave this right here just as a spoon rest while I bring out my can openers to open up my sauces. Okay. The next thing that we're going to talk about is reframing our thoughts. My mind is very good at convincing me that I am always right. I am clearly the main character of this play of life that I'm in. It's a very egotistical way of thinking, but I think it is one that a lot of us face when we are faced with stressors. It's not this is happening, it's this is happening to me. And it's that added to me that adds this whole extra layer and flavor that only further adds to stress. Giving this another little stir just to make sure that all the sides are cooking down equally and evenly. The next time that you are experiencing a stressor, a problem with something that's going on in your life, in your environment, at work, at home, etc., what I want you to do is try to the best of your abilities, and this is very difficult to do in the moment, but try to put yourself in the shoes of a third party. Perhaps in someone else's shoes of who is coming at me right now and what is their belief and what is their stance. But also, if a third party were to walk into this room right now and witness what is going on, what would they say? And by forcing yourself out of that this is happening to me mindset and putting it into or back into the this is happening mindset, a lot of the emotions attached to stressful situations get minimized. I'm not going to say that they get taken away because that would imply that emotions are not valid, which they are. You have every right to feel the feelings that you feel for any given situation. But in the same way that you have every right to feel the feelings that you feel, the person on the other side has every right to feel the feelings that they are feeling. The third party that is observing this from the other side of the room has every right to look at this and say, whoa, it looks like these people are feeling these things. And by removing that, these people are feeling these emotions. If you put yourself in that person's shoes, it helps to give a bigger picture and it helps you to distance yourself from the emotions that are happening so that while you feel them, you still have control over your reaction to them. A good way to practice this too, for those of you who are like journaling fans, which, hey to my journalers, I guess journaling people, journalers. Shout out to you all. For those of you who are looking for journal prompts, a good way to practice this one is to replay a moment in your life that has significant, and we'll start with significant positive emotions for you. So replay a very happy memory, but instead of you reliving that for yourself, put yourself as if you were a fly on the wall. And as a fly on the wall, replay the event through that entity's eyes. And you can do this with any emotion, but again, if you're not used to this, then I would definitely start with something smaller and lighter and easier, like happy emotions, rather than fear or sadness or anger or embarrassment, etc. I'm gonna go ahead and give this pasta a stir and a taste. Okay, so we're gonna leave that as is. Wow, that's good. Yum. Yay. Okay, we pour in our tomato sauce. And then last but not least, I'm gonna go through, open up my tomato paste. We want like 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. That's about 2. We'll give this a stir, break this up. I'm going to add in my Italian seasoning. I also found in my spice rack fennel, which if you have fennel, by all means add it into this tomato sauce. It'll make it very, very tasty. If you don't have it though, that's okay. Italian seasoning. Talking about willingness. It is kind of just keeping an open mind, which is way easier said than done. It's allowing the experience, whatever's going on, just allowing it to happen. It's relinquishing control, or our semblance of control, which we may not even have, depending on what's going on. Sometimes I want to think that I have control over a situation when I very clearly don't, but the idea of me having control over it brings me peace of mind, I guess. But sometimes it's just very, very obvious and apparent that I don't have control. So then me trying to regain and re-establish control over a situation that I never had control over with the aim to like bring myself peace of mind, which will never happen, that spins me up and gets me more stressed out than just the situation itself. In those instances, it's hot. If I just let it go, and I refuse to be controlled by it. I can't control it, but I can also not be controlled by it. We're going to give that one or 2 more minutes. I need to add in the heavy whipping cream as well. You want 3/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Woohoo! So we do 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. And give it a stir, make sure it's all melted in. I don't have to like what is happening. I don't have to embrace what is happening. I don't have to overanalyze what is happening, because again, that's me just trying to regain control over the situation that cannot be controlled. I just accept and allow it to happen. If there are things that I cannot change and I cannot control, it really does help to just let it go. And that is willingness. The next one that I wanted to talk about while we grate our cheese is a values check. Staying true to you. Sometimes what's stressing us out is the fact that we feel like we are losing ourselves to whatever the situation is. We are becoming someone that we don't like, that we don't respect, that we don't want to be. So sometimes doing that values check of, hey, am I aligning my actions and my thoughts and my ideas? That is ready to go in and be combined. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to drain my pasta. Okay. I'm going to transfer my sauce pot to the bigger one so that there's room for everything. And now I'm going to lower my heat down to low because I don't need it to be wicked hot anymore. Transfer our pasta into the sauce so that way it comes together, and we'll give it like one more minute to absorb the goodness and the flavor that is here. I'm actually going to turn off the heat altogether because it's basically come together at this point. I'm going to talk us through a few more of these while I chop up a little hunk of Parmesan to grate down. I'm going to do the small side. Pace breathing. Like I said, when we first started talking about stress, one of the symptoms of stress is us losing control of our normal, regular breathing patterns. One thing that you can do that actually kind of tricks your body into calming itself down when we are facing those higher stress levels like we're talking about now is forcing deep breaths. And you can do this in many, many, many ways, but I'll leave you with two just to give you guys some of those good techniques to practice. The first one is what we call box breathing. You literally picture it like a box. And you go inhale for 4 through the nose if you can, but if you've got a cold, you got a cold. But inhale for 4 through the nose, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So let's practice it together. Ready? Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Okay. Doing that repeatedly to regain control of your breath. Great way to go. Another one for paced breathing is you inhale for 4, like we just did. You hold for 7, which seems very long, but hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. So we'll practice that now. Ready? Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Okay. And those two, that forced breathing of, no, I'm in control, no, I've got this, that is exactly the things that can help us regain control of the rest of our body's reaction and response to whatever is happening and going on. Now, diffusing thoughts, and this is what I want to end on, so perfect timing because we're basically finished with grating our cheese. Diffusing the thoughts, and it sounds really silly, but it does work. It's a way that we distance ourselves from our thoughts. That voice in your head with that negative self-talk, what if you give it a name? And not only do you give them a name, but give them a silly voice. And the next time that you have a negative thought, that negative voice pops into your head and says things like, you can't do it, you're not good enough, you don't look great, whatever. Don't just tell them to shut up. Name them, like, all right, Neil, and give them a silly voice. It's a lot harder to take those thoughts seriously when they're coming through and they sound like Dexter from Dexter's Lab. Another thing that you can do, and I've seen people do this to others, which is great. It's a great way to get people to stop mansplaining things to you or talking over you or demeaning you, is by treating them like they're kindergartners and you're the teacher. Oh my God. Thank you for communicating that you understood what I was saying, Jeremy. That is so good that you have just repeated and rephrased what I have said to our group here. What if you do that to yourself? The next time that you have a thought that is negative or is not helpful to a situation, be like, wow, brain, thank you for that thought. I'm going to go ahead and just put it right here on the fridge. Put it right here on the fridge. We're going to look at it. We're going to pin it up. It's going to be great. I don't have to act on it. I don't have to analyze it. I don't have to give it any more credit than what is due. All right. Wow. Thank you for contributing to this brainstorming session. Brain, thank you. We're going to put a pin in that. We're not going to touch it, but you tried. Thank you, brain. Thanking your brain for the thoughts, giving it a name to that negative voice, giving it a voice so that it sounds silly, which all of this might sound a little bit crazy. Like, okay, the voice in my head is now a character, but like, it is. It's just a more negative, usually, version of you. That is a character. Another one, write it down. Write down the thought and then repeat. Continue to write down that thought verbatim, the same thing, until the words and the letters become meaningless to you. There is something about repetition that becomes almost like a mantra where the words stop having meaning. If I just say the word focus, 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 what? It lost meaning. I'm not even paying attention to the meaning behind the words. I'm just repeating the words. By creating that distance, by diffusing your thoughts in that way, it helps you to create space between the emotions and the reaction to those emotions. It forces distance. And in that distance, you are able to regain control, at least of your reactions. Perhaps not of the whole situation, but at least of your reactions. You can take measured steps towards the solution rather than just like, everything's on fire, I need to react now. Now, we're getting into the higher level stressors. It is very, very good to practice these techniques in low stress situations. Try all of these so that you can feel what they feel like and know how to implement them when it comes time for high stress situations. For those of you that have had the opportunities to practice some of these, I would love to hear in the comments what's working well. Which of these techniques are you like naturally drawn to? Which of these techniques have you already been doing? You just didn't even realize it. You didn't put a name to it. Get in the comments and tell me how it's going. Our pasta is thoroughly cooked and done at this point. I am so excited. Thank you for taking care of you today. I cannot wait to cook this last meal for this week. It's going to be spinach and artichoke dip, and it's going to be delicious. Okay, I hope you all enjoy. Bon appetit. Hey, we've got our pork and our pasta and our Parmesan. Ready to go? Oh well. Oh my god, that's so good. Whoa. Wow, I cannot wait for you to try this. I hope that you already are. This is so good. I'm so glad. Thank you for taking care of you today. I hope that you all enjoy. Bon appetit.